Hi, this is Grandmaster Tartar Sauce, and this is the first of a 7-part series on how to play the Danish Gambit. The Danish Gambit is an opening in which white gives up material for the initiative, and sets many traps for black. This video will just be a quick overview of the Gambit and its main lines. Throughout this video series, I want to highlight certain ideas rather than specific moves. The first idea that I'm going to mention is that when you are behind in material, as you are from white's perspective in this opening, you want to avoid exchanges. Black has 2 extra pawns, but right now that is not much of a factor. If black manages to make even trades, eventually it will be his king and 2 pawns against your king and no pawns. If this happens, it is a certain win for black, so try not to allow exchanges. First, a little history about the opening. Although it may have been known earlier, credit for the Gambit has been given to Danish player Martin Severin Fromm, who wrote an essay about it in the Paris 1867 chess tournament. The Gambit quickly gained popularity and was played by early masters like Paul Morphy, Alexander Alekhine, Joseph Henry Blackburn, and Jacques Miesis. Okay, now let's see how you got to this position. e4, black plays e5, d4, e takes d4, c3, d takes c3, bishop c4, and c takes b2, and bishop takes b2. This is the Danish Gambit accepted. White is down by 2 pawns, but has great placement of his bishops. The bishop on c4 is pressuring black's weakest square, f7, while the bishop on b2 is pressuring g7 and making it hard for black's bishop on f8 to go anywhere. White has open lines for his pieces, and black has no pieces developed. But if black can survive the coming attack and force an endgame, his 2 extra pawns will be a decisive advantage. Now let's look at this position a little deeper. Most GMs, IMs, and expert class players would play the move pawn to d5 in this position. This is called the Selector Defense, and was one of the main reasons that the Gambit had suffered a decline in popularity. Black's main idea is to neutralize white's advantage by giving back one or both pawns while opening lines for the c8 bishop. In this position, white could either take the d5 pawn with his queen, bishop, or pawn. Do you know which one he should choose? If white takes with the queen, then black can take with his queen, and white takes with the bishop. As I said previously, white wants to avoid exchanges, not cause them, so this position is not very good for white. If white takes with the pawn, he's only blocking in his own bishop from attacking this square. He now can't attack it because the pawn is in the way. You might think that this would cause some neat discovered attacks later on, but black's position is actually very solid right here. So white should take with the bishop. This is the main line and the recommended book move. This is where I will highlight the first major trap. Black's most obvious move would be pawn to c6. But this is terrible. Can you see why? White can play bishop takes f7 check, which double attacks black's queen and king. If black takes the bishop, then white can win the queen for nothing. If instead black wants to keep the queen guarded, white can still force the king away from the queen by playing bishop to a3. Black can delay things by playing c5, but black still loses his queen. So, playing c6 is a very bad move, because white wins black's queen. The same series of moves by white works against many other black defenses, But black does have one great move here, which is knight to f3. This attacks both the bishop and the pawn. White can try the same series of moves here, but he will find that after bishop takes f7 check, king takes f7, queen takes queen, and bishop moves to b4 check, he is double attacking white's king and queen. The queen is being attacked by the rook, and the king is being attacked by the bishop. White's best move here would be to block with the queen, so at least he gets something back for his queen. And black can play rook to e8 right here. This was not what most white gambiteers wanted from their opening. They wanted a hard fight with a long-lasting initiative. This was why the Danish Gambit suffered a decline in popularity. Then, relatively recently, German correspondence player Ingo Fernhaber found that on move 7, I'll just go back to that first. Instead of white taking the f7 pawn, which leads to an endgame as I just showed you, white should play knight to c3. This move has sparked a revival in the interest of the Danish Gambit, because black has no ways to automatically reach a favorable endgame. Once again, black has to be very careful, because now, after many natural moves like pawn to c6, white can take the pawn on f7, and after king takes f7, and queen takes queen, black had been planning to play bishop to b4 check. Except, to his surprise, now that the knight is on c3, it's not actually a check. So, white can just take the rook, and black is totally losing here. Going back, as of this taping, white can expect a slight advantage from this position. The main line currently runs knight takes bishop, knight takes knight, and the knight from b8 moves to d7. This position is the Danish Gambit accepted, and it arises when both players play the moves that are recommended by theory. This means that if white plays the correct moves, his position will never be worse than this. That is why I play the Danish Gambit so much, and so far I have yet to lose a tournament game as white. Hopefully if you watch all of my video lectures, you can include the Danish Gambit in your own opening repertoire. Thanks for watching. I hope you win with the Danish Gambit. This is Grandmaster Tartar Sauce, signing off.